He removed the drink cover, then pushed her. Accident or intentional?
She's not coming up. Someone said it, and that's when the laughter stopped. We were in my backyard, everyone's still standing around the pool, like this was just another stupid family moment that would pass in a second. My daughter Gina had just hit the water hard. My brother Mark was right behind her. He'd smiled when he did it. Relax, it's just a joke, he said before shoving my 8-year-old into the deep end knowing she couldn't swim that well. Before we continue, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell for updates. I was already moving, already screaming her name, but he didn't jump in. He didn't even reach for her. Then someone near the edge muttered, confused, "Why is the water so still?" I looked down again. And that's when I realized something underneath her wasn't letting her come back up. For a second, my brain refused to process it. Gina wasn't a kid who could just disappear in water. She hated going under. Even in the shallow end, she'd pinch her nose and panic if her face dipped below the surface. And now she was gone. I dropped to my knees at the edge, scanning the pool, expecting needing to see her break through, coughing, crying, anything. The water looked wrong, too flat. No frantic splashing, no trail of bubbles, just this eerie, glassy surface reflecting all of us staring down. "Gina!" I screamed again, louder this time, my voice cracking. Someone behind me let out a nervous laugh, like they were trying to force the moment back into something normal. "She's probably just holding her breath. Kids do that." "She doesn't do that," I snapped, already pulling off my shoes with shaking hands. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Mark finally move, but not toward the water. He stepped back. That's when it hit me harder than anything else. He wasn't surprised. I looked straight at him. "Mark, what did you do?" His face tightened for a split second, then smoothed out too quickly. "I didn't do anything, Laura. I just pushed her. She'll come up." But he didn't sound sure. And he still wasn't jumping in. My chest tightened as a cold, sick realization started forming, because if this was just a joke, if this was just a push, then why was he watching the deep end like he was waiting for something? I didn't wait anymore. I lunged forward and dove straight into the water. The cold hit me all at once, but I forced my eyes open, searching. The pool was deeper than it looked from above, darker too. I kicked down hard, arms reaching, sweeping blindly in front of me. Nothing. No movement, no sign of her. I shot back up, gasping, "I can't see her! Someone help me!" A chair scraped behind me. One of my cousins, Ethan, kicked off his shoes and dove in beside me without hesitation. The water finally broke into chaos, rippling, splashing, but it felt too late, like we were reacting to something we should have already understood. "Where is she?" he shouted, wiping water from his eyes. "I don't know." My voice came out sharp, panicked. "She didn't come up." Around us, the backyard had gone silent in a different way now. No laughter, no talking, just people frozen at the edge, staring. Someone fumbled with their phone. Another voice, shaky, said, "Should I call 911? "Yes!" I yelled. Call right now." Ethan took a deep breath and dove again, going straight down this time, toward the deep end. I followed a second later, pushing myself lower, ears ringing from the pressure. That's when I felt it. Not a hand, not Gina. A pull. Subtle at first, then stronger as I drifted closer to the bottom. It tugged at my arm like the water itself was dragging downward. I jerked back instinctively, lungs already burning, panic spiking as I kicked up toward the surface again. I broke through, coughing. "Something's wrong, there's something pulling." Ethan burst up beside me, choking on water. Yeah, I felt it too. Down there's like pressure. "Pressure from what?" someone shouted from the edge. Before either of us could answer, a third person, my uncle, jumped in. Heavier, stronger. "Move," he said, already taking a deep breath. "I'll get her." I grabbed his arm for half a second. "Please just find her." He nodded once and disappeared beneath the surface. Seconds stretched. 5, 10, 15. Then he shot back up violently, sucking in air like he'd been held under. "There's something down there," he rasped, eyes wide. He coughed, then looked straight at me, his expression shifting from confusion to something much worse. It's holding her down. And behind him, at the edge of the pool, Mark finally spoke too quiet, but I heard it anyway. That's not possible. I turned toward him slowly because he didn't sound confused. He sounded like he was hoping that was still true. That is possible if the drain's exposed. The voice came from behind me, sharp, urgent, cutting through everything. One of the neighbors had pushed through the side gate, already halfway to the pool. Turn the pump off, now! What? Someone said, confused. The pump, he snapped, pointing toward the equipment at the side of the house. If the cover's off, it can trap. Just shut it off. My stomach dropped. I turned slowly at first, then all at once to Mark. He was already looking toward the filter system. No, I said, shaking my head, backing through the water toward the edge. No, Mark. I didn't. He started, but the words fell apart. Did you touch it? My voice broke. Did you touch the drain? He didn't answer. That was enough. Turn it off! I screamed at anyone who would listen. 2 people bolted at once, nearly colliding as they ran for the side yard. The rest of us stayed frozen in place for half a second longer, like we were all waiting for permission to believe what was happening. Then I dove again. This time, I forced myself deeper, ignored the pressure in my ears, the burn in my lungs. I kept going until the light from above dimmed and the bottom came into view. And then I saw her, Gina, flat against the pool floor, her small body pinned in place, arms slightly out, hair drifting around her face like it was floating in slow motion. Her back was pressed to something, no, not something. The drain, her swimsuit was pulled tight against it, held there by a force I could feel even from a few feet away. I reached for her. The pull hit harder this time, dragging at my hand, resisting me. I grabbed her arm anyway, yanking with everything I had. She didn't move. Not even an inch. My lungs screamed, my grip slipped, panic surged as the realization hit me fully. I couldn't get her free. I kicked upward, desperate, breaking the surface with a gasp that tore through my chest. She's stuck! I choked out. She's stuck to the bottom. Is it off? Someone yelled. Not yet, came the answer from the side yard. I can't find the switch. Find it, I screamed, my voice raw. Find it now. Behind me, Mark finally stepped closer to the edge, staring into the water like he could undo it just by looking hard enough. I didn't think, he muttered. I spun on him. You didn't think what? But before he could answer, the pump cut out. The sound low, constant, almost unnoticed before it suddenly died. The water shifted, and without waiting, Ethan dove straight down again. We all watched the surface, waiting. 1 second, 2, 3. Then he came up, hauling Gina's body with him. Her head lolled back. Her eyes were closed, and she wasn't breathing. Move! Someone shouted, and suddenly the entire backyard snapped into motion. They laid Gina flat on the concrete, right beside the pool. Water poured from her hair, her clothes clinging to her small frame. She looked wrong. Too still, too quiet. No. I dropped beside her, my hands hovering, not knowing where to touch, what to do. Gina, baby, open your eyes, please. I've got it, Ethan said, already kneeling across from me. His hands were shaking, but he forced them steady as he tilted her head back. Call 911, did anyone? I did, someone answered from behind us. They're on the way. Okay. He pressed his ear near her mouth, then looked up at me, and I saw it in his face before he said it. She's not breathing. The words didn't land right. They just floated there, like everything else. Start compressions, another voice said, my uncle again, kneeling beside him. Now. Ethan nodded and began counting under his breath, pressing down on Gina's chest in steady, rhythmic motions. 30 compressions, 2 breaths, again. I reached for her hand. It was cold. No, she was just right there, I whispered, more to myself than anyone else. She was just standing. Stay back, Laura, my aunt said softly, trying to pull me away. I'm not leaving her, I snapped, yanking my arm free. Across the yard, I heard sirens faint, but getting closer. And behind me, I didn't know it would do that. Mark. I turned slowly. He was standing a few feet away now, soaked up to his knees, staring at Gina like he didn't recognize what he was looking at. His face had lost all color. "What did you do?" I asked, my voice low, shaking. "I just took the cover off," he said, like he was explaining something small. "Fixable. It was clogged or something. I was going to put it back." "You turned it on without it?" I cut in. I didn't think. "No," I said louder now. "You don't get to say that. You don't get to say that." A neighbor stepped closer, pointing toward the pool. "I saw him earlier," she said, her voice tight. "He had tools out. He was messing with that drain." Another voice joined in. "He said it was loose. Said it wasn't a big deal." Mark shook his head, backing up slightly. "It wasn't supposed to. She was just supposed to fall in and come right back up." "Like a joke?" I shouted, the words ripping out of me. He flinched. The sirens were loud now, right outside. Gina's body jerked slightly under Ethan's hands as he continued CPR. "Come on, come on," he muttered. "Breathe, kid, come on." The gate burst open. Paramedics rushed in, dropping to their knees beside her, taking over instantly, oxygen mask, equipment, commands, flying back and forth. "How long was she under?" one of them asked sharply. No one answered, because no one knew. And that was the worst part. As they lifted her onto the stretcher, her head tilted toward me for just a second, eyes still closed, face pale, completely still. I grabbed the edge of the stretcher. "I'm coming with her." "Ma'am, we need space." "That's my daughter," I snapped. They didn't argue after that. As they rushed her toward the ambulance, I looked back once. Mark was standing where I'd left him. A police officer had just stepped up beside him, asking something I couldn't hear. Mark didn't answer. He just stared at the pool, like he was finally realizing what he'd done. And as the ambulance doors slammed shut, the officer's voice cut through, clear this time. "Sir, why was the drain cover removed?" The waiting room felt colder than the pool. Everything was too bright, too clean, too quiet. I sat there soaked in dried chlorine and fear, staring at the double doors they'd taken Gina through, replaying the same moment over and over, her falling, the water closing, the silence after. A doctor finally came out. I stood before he even spoke. "She's alive," he said first. My knees almost gave out, but he didn't smile. His expression stayed careful, measured. "She was without oxygen for several minutes. We were able to resuscitate her, but she's in critical condition. We won't know the full extent until we monitor her." Alive, but not okay. I nodded like I understood, even though nothing about this felt understandable. Hours later, a police officer sat across from me, notepad in hand. His voice was calm, but direct. "Your brother admitted he removed the pool drain cover earlier today," he said. "He told us he thought it was clogged and wanted to fix it himself." I closed my eyes. "He turned the pump back on without replacing it," the officer continued. "That creates a high suction hazard. It's extremely dangerous, especially for children." "I told him not to mess with things like that," I said quietly. "He never listens. Everything's a joke to him." The officer nodded once. He also admitted he pushed your daughter into the pool. The words hit differently now. He didn't soften them, didn't call it an accident. "He's being charged with criminal negligence and reckless endangerment," he added. "Given the circumstances, possibly more depending on her condition." I didn't respond because there wasn't anything left to say to that. The fallout didn't wait. By the next day, neighbors were talking. Someone had recorded part of the aftermath, the CPR, the shouting, fragments of Mark's voice in the background. It spread fast, passed from phone to phone, each retelling sharper than the last. Some family members tried to defend him. He didn't mean it. It was a mistake. He loved Gina. None of that changed what happened at the bottom of that pool. I stopped answering their calls. Weeks passed in, fragments, hospital chairs, quiet machines, careful updates. Gina woke up, but she wasn't the same. Slower to respond, quieter. Afraid of things that never used to bother her. Water, most of all. Even the sound of a sink running made her tense. I sat with her through therapy sessions, through long silences where she wouldn't speak, just held onto my hand like letting go meant something else might take her under again. Mark tried to reach out once. A letter. I didn't open it. There was nothing in it I needed. The pool's gone now. Drained, covered, left empty like it should have been that day. The backyard feels different, smaller somehow, like something invisible collapsed in on itself and never came back. Sometimes Gina and I sit out there anyway. Not near the deep end. Never near the deep end. One afternoon, after weeks of avoiding even looking at it, she walked past a small puddle near the patio. Just rainwater, barely anything. She stopped, looked down at it, then looked up at me. Carefully, slowly, she stepped around it. Didn't say a word. But I heard his voice anyway, clear as it was that day. Relax. It's just a joke. Now I know exactly what that kind of joke costs.
Was it really a joke, or did he know what exactly would happen?